not too concerned about Donald Trump not understanding how his tariffs work because he's Donald Trump. He doesn't understand how to make money running a casino. The important thing is that there are adults in the room.
Every country on the list faces at least 10% tariffs. Even small, remote places like the Heard and McDonald Islands. They are near Antarctica.
Reciprocal. That means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple.
Also, the patient is going to be bigger? Was the surgery a penis enhancement?
Trump just tanked the stock market by announcing tariffs on fictional countries like Narnia and Wakanda. Not kidding. His list included made-up places alongside real ones, and Wall Street responded by making trillions of dollars disappear faster than my will to live during tax season. Meanwhile, Trump hopped on Truth Social to announce the operation is over and the patient is healing.
Yesterday, Donald Trump announced sweeping tariffs across the entire globe. Asia, South America, Narnia, Arendelle, Wakanda, Bachelor Nation.
Carnage on Wall Street.
Markets falling, tumbling.
Stocks plunging. Down, down, down.
The Nasdaq's getting crushed. Small caps are getting crushed.
Which patient? The economy he just stabbed repeatedly with tariff daggers? Stick around as I explain how your coffee, bananas, and yes, even toilet paper are about to get way more expensive thanks to Grumpy Trumpy's global temper tantrum. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. So Trump just announced his big tariff plan, and folks, it's wilder than his hair in a hurricane. The list of countries getting hit with these tariffs includes places that don't even exist. I'm talking about Narnia, Arendelle, Wakanda, and even Bachelor Nation. Yes, you heard that right. Fictional places from books, movies, and reality TV are now part of Trump's economic policy. What's next? A trade war with Santa's workshop? Slapping import fees on toys from the North Pole? This isn't just me making stuff up. The Daily Show actually reported on this bizarre inclusion of make-believe lands alongside real countries. It perfectly shows how little thought went into this economic disaster. It's like Trump was sitting there with a globe in one hand and a fantasy novel in the other, unable to tell the difference. But the real kicker is how they came up with these tariff numbers. According to reports, the Trump team used a formula so simplistic it could have been created by a chatbot having a bad day.
If you can imagine it, Trump slapped a tariff on it. And today, the reviews came in.
This is a shock to the system.
It is ugly out there, worse than worst case scenario.
Stocks are getting slashed and burned. $2.5 trillion vaporized.
They just divided each country's trade deficit by their exports to the US. That's it. That's their sophisticated economic strategy. It's the kind of solution you'd get if you asked a middle schooler how to fix international trade, or if you asked AI for a quick fix without any nuance. The tariffs hit pretty much everyone with a pulse and some without. Canada got slapped with 25%, Switzerland with 31%, and bizarrely enough, even the Heard and McDonald Islands near Antarctica. Yes, Trump declared economic war on a frozen chunk of land that's mainly populated by penguins and a few shivering scientists at research stations. Let's talk about those penguins for a second. These little tuxedo-wearing birds are just waddling around, sliding on their bellies, doing their penguin thing, and suddenly they're caught in an international trade war. As The Daily Show pointed out, we put a 10% tariff on an island that only has penguins. The poor birds didn't even vote. And honestly, what are we even trading with them? As the show hilariously asked, why would they buy fish from us? They're on an island surrounded by fish.
He took to Truth Social, wrote this: "The operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis is that the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before."
$2.5 trillion vaporized. Your kid's college fund disintegrated. Your 401k given the death penalty. Your pension waterboarded in Guantanamo.
Trump's team is trying to justify this mess by claiming it's reciprocal action for tariffs other countries put on us. But that's just not true. The numbers he used were just trade deficits, not actual tariff rates. It's like he doesn't understand or care about the difference. So basically, Trump is punishing countries for selling us stuff we want to buy. That's like beating up Nike because you like their shoes, but they don't buy your homemade flip-flops. It makes zero sense in terms of actual economic policy. The market's reaction was swift and painful. The stock market immediately tanked, with NASDAQ and small-cap stocks getting absolutely destroyed. Trillions of dollars in market value just vanished faster than Trump's tax returns. But don't worry, Trump has a perfectly reasonable explanation for why tanking the economy is actually a good thing. After causing this financial bloodbath, Trump hopped on Truth Social with perhaps his weirdest explanation yet. He claimed, "The patient is healing and the operation is over," talking about the economy like some deranged surgeon who just performed unnecessary surgery on a perfectly healthy patient.
President Trump says the higher penalties come in response to tariffs those countries impose on American products they import.
Those stocks your Nana gave you 20 years ago accidentally stepped on a landmine while vacationing in Vietnam.
It's as if he took one look at our functional economy, decided it needed emergency surgery, and then congratulated himself when it ended up in critical condition. The scariest part is that this isn't over. These tariffs will ripple through every aspect of our lives. From your morning coffee to your evening beer, from the shoes on your feet to the electronic device you're watching this on, everything is about to get more expensive. And for what? Because Trump apparently can't tell the difference between fictional Wakanda and real-world trade partners. Meanwhile, real countries are already preparing to retaliate. They're not just going to sit there and take it while Trump plays economic whack-a-mole with global trade. They're going to hit back with their own tariffs, making American goods more expensive around the world and hurting our businesses and workers. Those retaliatory tariffs aren't just hurting American businesses. They're coming straight for your wallet. While Trump tells us his tariff madness is some kind of economic genius move, regular Americans are about to feel the pain every time they shop. The Consumer Brands Association is frantically warning that everyday necessities, not luxury items, are about to cost way more, specifically pointing out things we literally cannot produce at scale in America.
Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple.
Economists say we could be on the verge of a recession, so things are looking scary right now.
Think about it. When was the last time you saw coffee plantations in Minnesota or banana farms in Ohio? These climate-dependent products we rely on daily just got slapped with tariffs ranging from 10% to a whopping 47%. Guatemala, one of our biggest coffee suppliers, is now facing steep import taxes. So that morning cup that barely gets you functioning before work? It's about to become a luxury item because Trump apparently decided your breakfast routine needed more financial stress. It gets worse. The Consumer Brands Association is begging for exemptions on key ingredients that cannot be produced in the United States. Without these exemptions, everything from your breakfast banana to your bathroom necessities is getting a Trump tax. And no, I'm not just talking about fancy imported chocolates. We're talking toilet paper and shampoo, thanks to higher costs on wood pulp and palm oil. That's right, Trump's tariffs are even coming for your bathroom breaks. Need a drink to cope with all this economic chaos? Too bad. European wines, spirits, and that refreshing Mexican Modelo you enjoy after work just got hit with a 20% tariff for EU goods and a 25% tariff for Mexican canned beer.
Beef, because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak. It's unbelievable. We can't sell corn to India. We can't sell rice to Asia.
But don't worry. The only thing the president is better at than negotiating is speaking soothing words of comfort in times of need.
So even your Friday night wine down is about to get pricier. At least it's not the 200% tariff on European wine and champagne that Trump initially threatened last month. Small comfort when your six-pack suddenly costs extra. Catastrophic for American families. That's how Matt Priest, CEO of the Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America, described these new tariffs. And he's not exaggerating. Nearly 100% of America's shoes are imported, with about 37% coming from China and 30% from Vietnam in 2023 alone. Both countries just got hit with massive tariffs, so your next pair of sneakers, more expensive. Your kids' school shoes, more expensive. Those fancy wedding shoes you've been saving for, you guessed it, more expensive and probably lower quality too. Planning a vacation to escape this economic nightmare? That's going to cost you more too. Hotel construction costs are expected to jump by as much as 10% due to tariffs on materials from China and Vietnam. Baird hotel analyst Michael Belisario says this increase comes at the worst possible time, when hotel construction is already struggling with higher costs and interest rates. Fewer hotels getting built means less competition, which ultimately means, you guessed it, higher room rates when you finally take that stress relief trip. Even your jewelry isn't safe. Danish company Pandora is expecting to lose about $178 million annually from these new tariffs. They make 92% of their jewelry in Thailand, which now faces a 36% import tax to the US. Their solution? Either raise prices for American customers or completely reshape their supply chain.
You expect the stock market to look like when it opens tomorrow in reaction to this?
I don't know.
Should we view these as permanent?
That, I think we're going to wait and see how this plays out.
I feel so much better now. Always reassuring when the surgeon comes out screaming at the top of his lungs, "The patient is fine! Everything is going great!"
Either way, that charm bracelet you've been eyeing is about to charm more money out of your wallet. Basic economic reality check. When it costs manufacturers and retailers more to make and import products, they don't just eat those costs out of the goodness of their hearts. Those costs get passed straight to you, the consumer. It's business 101. If it costs more to make, it costs more to buy. So Trump's tariff tantrum isn't punishing other countries nearly as much as it's punishing everyday Americans who need to, buy things to live. What's truly mind-boggling is that this economic self-sabotage is coming from someone who claims to be a business genius. The same administration that couldn't tell the difference between real countries and movie kingdoms like Wakanda is now making critical decisions about global trade. It's like putting someone who thinks chocolate milk comes from brown cows in charge of agricultural policy. Trump insists this economic bloodbath will eventually lead to a boom, which makes about as much sense as setting your house on fire to improve its curb appeal. Meanwhile, American consumers are left holding the bag. A more expensive bag that probably had a tariff slapped on it too.
We just assume they have a good reason for imploding the economy, because why else would you implode the economy? But then you uncover something like this and you realize, I'm not sure they even know what they're doing.
Every country on the list faces at least 10% tariffs. Even small, remote places like the Heard and McDonald Islands, they are near Antarctica.
Remember how Trump promised his tariffs would make the economy boom? Well, the only things booming are the voices of panicked CEOs calling this a huge mistake, and Canada slapping 25% tariffs right back at us. When 10 major business leaders are all saying your economic plan is garbage, maybe it's time to stop playing economist while the market loses trillions. Trump is out here strutting around the White House lawn like a peacock with a comb over, confidently declaring that the markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom. Someone should tell him that saying boom 3 times doesn't magically make it happen. That's not how economics works. That's barely how children's fairy tales work. Meanwhile, Wall Street is having a complete meltdown. Target, Nike, Wayfair, and American Eagle Outfitters all hit 52-week lows. Even the shoe companies are stumbling. Deckers, the parent company of UGG and Hoka, hit rock bottom. I guess tariffs aren't very comfortable footwear, and tech stocks? CoreWeave dropped over 17%, and Nvidia fell nearly 7%. These aren't minor hiccups. It's a full-on economic projectile vomiting session. But sure, Donald, everything's going very well, and I'm the Queen of England and Batman combined. The response from business leaders has been less than enthusiastic. Altimeter Capital CEO Brad Gerstner didn't mince words, calling Trump's tariff plan a huge mistake. He spoke with about 10 CEOs from the Business Roundtable, the people who actually understand economics, and they all agreed these tariffs will have lasting and cascading negative repercussions for the United States and the global economy. But what do they know? They only run the largest companies in America.
The reality is that the numbers on his board are not the tariffs other countries are charging us. They actually represent the trade deficit between the U.S. and those countries.
Well, at first I too thought that Trump putting tariffs on this uninhabited island was a sign that he had suffered brain damage.
Clearly, they should defer to the economic genius who bankrupted casinos, businesses literally designed to print money. The Federal Reserve now faces the economic equivalent of trying to parallel park a school bus in Manhattan during rush hour. They're staring down the barrel of stagflation. That's when inflation rises, while economic growth slows down. Goldman Sachs' head of multi-asset fixed income, Lindsay Rosner, warned that the big word of stagflation is real here. Stagflation is like economic quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. And guess what? Other countries aren't just sitting back and taking it. Canada already announced they're imposing their own 25% tariffs on American vehicles. Shocker. Who could have possibly predicted that countries would retaliate when we hit them with tariffs? Oh right, literally everyone with a functioning brain. Trump's America First has quickly turned into America Isolated and Getting Poorer by the Second. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is standing by his man, though. When asked if Trump might reverse course on these catastrophic tariffs, Lutnick said, "I don't think there's any chance."
The penguins are taking total advantage of America. We buy all their skins to make tuxedos, but have they ever bought any fish from us?
Punishing other countries for selling us stuff that we want. This is like me going to John Varvatos and beating the shit out of him because I like his socks. Why don't you ever buy my socks, John Varvatos?
He's framing the tariffs as creating a world of fairness, because nothing says fair like randomly punishing countries based on trade deficits they may or may not have with us. He even dismissed the idea that other countries might effectively retaliate. That's some serious economic delusion, like thinking you can solve debt by printing more money or fix a leaky roof by removing it entirely. Trump claimed that companies have pledged almost $7 trillion in investments. $7 trillion. That's more than the GDP of Japan and Germany combined. I'd love to see the receipts on that one. Perhaps these investments are being counted in monopoly money or coming from his good friends in Narnia and Wakanda. The reality is stark. While Trump is busy congratulating himself, real companies are taking real hits. Boeing shares tumbled 10%, with other aerospace stocks following suit. The entire automotive industry is reeling. These aren't just numbers on a screen. They represent American jobs, retirement accounts, and economic stability. But hey, at least Trump feels like he's winning, right?
Also, the patient is going to be bigger? Was the surgery a penis enhancement?
Canada and Mexico notably missing on that chart. Why is that?
I'm not sure.
This tariff tantrum has real-world consequences beyond Wall Street. When major retailers lose value, they cut costs, usually by laying off workers or raising prices even more. When tech companies take a hit, innovation slows down. When manufacturing costs increase, factories close. It's economics 101, a class Trump clearly skipped while he was busy inheriting millions from his father. Of course, Trump insists this economic bloodbath is just the beginning of something beautiful, like claiming the Titanic was simply taking an alternative route. He's standing on the deck of a sinking economy, violin in hand, playing the world's saddest rendition of The Art of the Deal, while reassuring everyone that the water rising around their ankles is actually good for swimming lessons. So folks, that's our economy now, heading for a $1 trillion tariff wall. That's not millions, not billions, but trillion with a T. Even economists who normally argue about everything agree this is bad news. They're warning about something called stagflation. That's when prices keep going up while the economy slows down. It's like getting fatter while starving at the same time.
I'm too concerned about Donald Trump not understanding how his tariffs work because he's Donald Trump. He doesn't understand how to make money running a casino. The important thing is that there are adults in the room.
America makes a lot of other things penguins don't buy. soybeans, natural gas, grenade launchers.
Okay, look, penguins don't need any of that stuff.
Oh, why? Because they're too stupid?
The poor Federal Reserve is now stuck choosing between two terrible options: fight inflation or save jobs. It's like asking someone if they'd rather lose their legs or their arms. Thanks, Trump. Who knew economic policy could be so complicated? Oh wait, literally everyone knew that except you.